Hello everyone. Due to the power cut, actually, I won't be able to switch on my camera, by the way. Good evening, all of you. So, we welcome you all to the final workshop of Sri Lanka AI Challenge. We are thrilled to have you all with us tonight as we dive deeper into the exciting world of artificial intelligence and technology. We hope this evening would be so informative as you know that today we will explore the fascinating topic of implementing conditional UI applications and generative UI. So now it's time to introduce our esteemed guest speaker tonight. We are honored to have Mr. Kavinda Senarathne, Associate Tech Lead at 99X Technologies. Mr. Kavinda Senarathne is a distinguished expert in UI UX development and cutting edge technology applications. So, he will guide us through the intercourses of conditional UI applications and the emerging field of generative UI by sharing his valuable insights and practical knowledge. So, please join me in welcoming Mr. Kavinda Senarathne for this session. It's over to you.
Hi everyone. Hope you can see me. Yeah, right. Okay. So before moving into the topic, conditional UI and generative UI. So as you all, everyone is basically nowadays very familiar with GPT. So it's also basically connected with something generative. This is something different actually, the generative UI part. So yeah, we'll go through with the things. So I'll share my screen. Hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, right. So yeah, this is basically about a kind of a session which is basically give on a basic on the fundamentals and the brief idea about how conditional UI and generative UI applications and like how what are the real world examples on that, and basically what's the backend part of it. So that's how it goes. So when it comes to this conditional UI and generative UI, so these are some kind of like two powerful concepts in UI development. So it's basically creating dynamic, responsive, user-centric interfaces. So uh, mainly it's working with UI and UX when you are developing a system or maybe an application. So yeah. So at the real like nowadays, like anyway, like most of the softwares, most of the apps, websites we are using. So basically connected with generative UI. So yeah, we'll go through with the things, but basically starting from the fundamentals of it. Yeah. So when it comes to conditional UI, so this is something like a very simple thing, not like complex like the generative UI. So this is something basically the user interfaces elements change dynamically based on some conditions or user interactions. Likewise, so for example, if I like give the idea of conditional UI through an example. So if we take a kind of an e-commerce website, so like as everyone is, I think everyone has an idea about an e-commerce website. So uh, uh, like think about the checkout process of the e-commerce website. So basically in a e-commerce platform, the checkout page changes based on whether the user is logged in or not. So if we take this as two conditions, so if the user is logged in anyway, checkout page automatically displays the basically the saved shippings and the billing information, and basically allows them to confirm the purchase, right? But think about a scenario like if you are not logged into a system, like basically the website, so it displays a prompt to either log in or sign up or proceed as a guest or likewise. So uh, So once you logged in and registered, like you can go through with the checkout process. So that's basically the simple idea of conditional UI. So it's having basically the dynamic user interfaces and also interactive experiences as well. So this is some kind of a like I just want to give a kind of clear idea about how conditional UI works. So basically creates some kind of a like a personalized responsive experience as well. So and it triggers and the like basically the UI changes based on the states. Apart from that, I'll give you another example like these examples can be like gone throughout the session because those things are like very familiar to everyone. So if we think about kind of a dashboard, and there are two users like admin and a kind of a regular user. So when it comes to the admin, so admin can see like uh, more advanced stuff in the dashboard, like user management, system settings, analytical reports, like guys. But when it comes to regular user, so regular user normally sees the basic information, like basically maybe the data or upcoming events or likewise. So that's how the things even you can take as a system the Moodle, right? So how the academy staff members see the Moodle and how as an undergrad or student how they see the Moodle. There are two scenarios. So likewise, those are some kinds of like conditions applied with the UI. So yeah, go through with it. Right. Okay. So basically, this is about how conditional UI works. So basically, what I said before, like giving kind of a user input, and after that, there's some kind of a evaluating basically the like the conditions. Like basically, for example, if we take if a certain admin is already logged in, so they can view a certain page, or if they are not logged in, so they can view only few parts. So that's how like it works, as I said. And the basically the appearances, behaviors, and everything works under that. And basically the other features and everything also goes like that. For example, like and normally if you are using, if you take Angular, like there are some conditional rendering in Angular as well. So I'll show you the coding part as well in this session. uh yeah, okay. So this is like basically what I mentioned before as well, how things works. So as I said before, like conditional UI is something like very simple thing, not kind of a complex thing, but there are some best practices as well. So when it comes to the best practices, like I'll first go through with the key areas, when you are designing how like you should think about basically the conditional UI, and how it is visible to the users, and from the backend side, from the coding side, how the basically the code should be, and how the clean code mechanisms and stuff should be maintained, right? So basically if I go with the basically the first part, planning and design. So when it comes to planning, uh, as you normally what we are doing when we are starting a project, right? Normally what we are going through some prototypes, we are drawing wireframes, UIs and stuff, and also doing activity diagrams, use case scenarios, use case diagrams. So doing several things, right? So that's what basically the plan and decide. So what we need to do is actually this is basically kind of doing some use flow mapping, and also define all the possible states. Like for example, if I take the previous example what I said, so if I take the checkout process, so that process might have some states like loading, validating, or basically successful completion, or is if there are any errors, error handling. Like, because we have to think about like all the states in a certain application. So that's how like it works. So apart from that, there are so many things when it comes to planning and design actually. So another part is like modular design. Modular design is like you can break the whole UI into like smaller like reusable components. So right, and also like connected with the conditional rendering as well. So like instead of like having one large component, we can like break down into smaller components, like basically spinners, submit buttons, like us. We can like do some kind of a smaller thing. Then moving back to the second part, like the visibility and the feedback. So basically, I just actually I didn't add all the things in this presentation. Actually, this is something kind of like we had to listen and understand. So yeah, so basically, when it comes to the visibility and feedback, so there are uh, uh, kind of best practices in that as well. So one thing is kind of like immediate feedback. So immediate in feedback in sense like think about after submitting a form. Basically, think about a scenario like after submitting form, like basically shows kind of a loading spinner. Then basically it indicates the processing part. So once processing done, they are like basically showing a confirmation message or redirect into a basically the any next step or something. So that's basically the immediate feedback means, and also kind of a transparent changes. So if there's any changes, it should be clearly visible for the users as well. So for example, you might have seen like if something if you think about if a certain feature is locked for kind of shall we take non-admin users. So normally how it shows is like making it clear by basically graying out the buttons or showing tooltips like it's available for admins only. Likewise, so there are something like related with the visibility. Apart from that, giving kind of a state awareness. For example, if you're uploading something, right? Normally it shows uploading in progress. So if it's fail, upload failed. If it's a it's a success or likewise. So there are some like several scenarios with related to visibility, and also one other thing is the dark mode and the light mode in the basically. Uh, Nowadays most of the applications have the toggle to basically the toggle between a dark mode and light mode. And yeah, moving to the next part from the best practices thing. So is about the code effective. So it's basically about the code clean coding. So uh, there are nothing like major in this, like this is everything is about conditions. So condition is sense if else, like what we are normally using coding, right? So it can be like separation of concerns, so maybe it can be using ternary operators. You might have heard about these operators. So also it can be a switch statement like this. So like that's how like it basically works. And also like for example, if we take a user context basically to handle the state management. So like as there are several scenarios, so based on the state it can be connected with the role management. So there are several scenarios when it comes to code. So everything is basically finally connected the condition with the condition. So that's how it should work. And this is something like uh, very like simple thing when it comes to these conditions and stuff. Okay, moving to the next one. So this is basically about the challenges. So advantages and basically challenges. So there can be like uh, basically challenges and advantages in conditional UI. So when it comes to the enhanced user experience and also the efficiency, accessibility. So these things like anyway, like if you're adding something, some value to the UI, so anyway, it's basically enhancing the user experience. When it comes to the efficiency in sense like reducing unnecessary steps. Like for example, if someone wants to, if uh, non-admin person doesn't want to see about the advanced maybe analytics in the application, so we don't need to like give that access, right? So that's how the accessibility and the reducing the unnecessary steps basically works. And apart from that, when it comes to the development part of this, so everything, so if you're using conditional condition, basically the conditional rendering in the UI aspect, so like we can do something like for simple applications is anyway okay, but when it comes to application like maybe Facebook or Spotify, likewise Netflix, like that, so in those actually we cannot handle it using conditional UI because there are so much of code and there's a kind of a big complexity in it. So in that case, like there might be an issue because of the lot of basically there are so many data in that. So can be issues in that in those scenarios, right? So in that case, like basically generative UI comes to play. So nothing major in this in both, right? So one thing is like conditional UI anyway, like we are like it's very like it's kind of common sense, like this is how the conditions work. Okay, you can like look it from a side and you can just say that this is how these things works and these are things how it should go. But when it comes to generative UI, it's something different. So it's something powered with AI, and also it's something like uh, basically dynamically generated, and also there are some. It's based on the personalized, basically the narratives, like basically the personal behaviors as well. So there are several things when it comes to the generative UI. So and also this is like very highly efficient comparing to the like conditional UI. And also the other thing is like it can basically automatically create UI components based on the structure, basically the content of the data, and basically give kind of a value and very like if it done basically the certain like generative UI can build those things automatically, then it's like very easy for the developers as well. So there are like few kinds of uh, advantages as well. So if I take the same example I said about the e-commerce side before, so when it comes to e-commerce side, right, there are thousands of products, right? So what generative UI can do is normally, basically it can automatically create product cards based on the data feed. And we know that when it comes to conditional UI also we can do that. That's fine. But the thing is the basically the data, the quantity of data. So based on that, it's very hard to manage from conditional UI. So and also like in when it comes to generative UI, it basically has kind of dynamic content. So dynamic content in sense like the basically content is frequently changing and growing based on the based on the like uh, personalized narratives or based on the user behaviors likewise. So this is something like uh, growing kind of a UI technology at the moment, like mainly focusing on the scalability. So scalability in sense like the basically a lot of content, quantity of data. So and also like there's something called like efficiency in when it comes to the scalability and also the automation on those areas as well. So I'm just saying like these are some areas like we can focus on, right? And when it comes to think about kind of data visualization dashboards, like in generative UI, so those dashboards can automatically adjust and generate charts based on the structure of the data, basically. So you don't need to like hard code the conditions and put all like basically if you are doing hard coding the condition and stuff, you need to know all the possible scenarios as well in that. So those are some kind of like very very complex. So in that case, like it's very easy to go ahead as well as this is something kind of a data driven, like we can say like it's kind of data driven UI. So because everything is based on data, so based on like basically the flexibility is there. And also like think about a kind of a like for example think about kind of a content management system. So uh, there are new blog post articles, like it shows the basically when it comes to the for example if we take medium platform, so we can see the blog post and the articles, but sometimes you might like think like those articles may be based on your previous search uh, keywords like guys. So that's how the things like basically make more user friendly rather than going with conditional like conditional matters. So and also like in this case as we are normally using AI, so we don't need to like hard coded the logic. Basically it's some kind of very not codeless, but only few coding parts engage with it. So in that case, but you can uh, build the idea of generative UI compare into the conditional UI. So there are some other advantages as well. So we'll go through with the advantages uh, in the other slides. Apart from that, this is some kind of UIs which is more familiar with the kind of real time data as well. So for example, we can say the social media feed, right? So it's displaying the variety of posts, but you might think about sometimes uh, those like for example if we take Facebook, so sometimes you might chat something in WhatsApp, but after that you can see that same domain in the Facebook as well. Those UIs are used those basically the those everything related with AI, so everything is works under this basically when it comes to the UI part of it. So yeah. So as I said before, like if we get the brief idea about conditional UI is based on changing based on the user actions. A generative UI is basically creating interfaces based on user data. User data in sense maybe the behavior of the user or maybe their interest like this. So that's basically the high level idea of it. Then the next thing is like how generative UI works. So as I said, it's basically based on the data inputs. After that, applying AI algorithms to it, then giving kind of a dynamic output. So if you take and as the example I mentioned before as well, so uh, taking the e-commerce website, so uh, you can see there are so many product cards when it comes to the uh, like if for example if we take Daras, right, you can see the basically the product image, price, descriptions, and reviews. So based on the reviews they are basically recommending you to recommending you some other products as well. So uh, likewise, so you can see like there are some kind of interconnection between everything. So uh, and you cannot do that part like recommendation systems, like you cannot do that part using basically it's hard to do using conditional UI. So in generative UI, basically it do basically automatically creates the new product cards and populating the templates, like they are taking the same template and doing basically feed the data for that. So that's how normally it works. So it's basically something called reusability of the code as well. So reusability of the content. So that's how like generative UI works. So it's not something like only you might think about like it can be like we need to know about AI technologies to use the generative UI part. Like anyway, we can do generative UI using like Angular React technologies as well. But uh, there's something kind of AI part is anyway interconnected to that. So yeah, that's how it goes. Okay. So as I said about basically the pros and cons. So when it comes to the pros, like it's scalable, right? You can like it can like automatically generate many UI components like based on the data, and basically handling large data sets. So uh, as I said here, like basically the potential for complexity and also reduce development time because like it adjusts to new data, like and also use inputs without needing any constant code changes. So that's I like it basically reduce development time. So apart from that, the consistency in sense, like as I said, when it comes to generating new maybe the product cards or something, they are using the same template, but designs sometimes remains same during the entire application. So yeah, so that's how it works. And reducing the repetitive code when it comes to this reduced development time, like those things are some kind of coding side of like advantages. Apart from that, when it comes to the cons part of it, so uh, like when it comes to simple apps, like we don't need to use this because if it's a kind of straightforward applications, like it's not recommended to use generative UI. Like anyway, you can use the conditional UI for that. And when it comes to the complex setup, so as this is something like we work with data, so many data, so there are so many data sets. So in that case, the setup can be very hard to understand because it's having kind of a complex setup. And also like very time consuming as well. And the other thing is there can be like performance overheads as well because of the uh like in very large applications. So when you're storing the data, and those things also can be affected. So that's how like the things like anyway, like when it comes to pros, they have the user experience, development type, but there are some other parts of it as well when it comes to the like the overall application. And apart from that, basically this is something like connected with AI, so you have only like less control. For example, if you take a conditional UI application, so you have the control, like you know where put the fields, like where to change, like as you know everything. But when it comes to this, like it's something less control. So that's kind of a cons. That's also kind of cons as well when it comes to that. Uh, Everything is depends on the base, as mentioned, the dependence of the AI model. So those are the basically the cons related to that. So as I said before, you don't need to like maybe specialized in AI or something to know about conditional UI or generative UI. So I'll take this simple code snippet. So in this basically there's a ngif, this kind of angular, basically angular code snippet. So uh, it has used ngif basically to conditionally render different basically the user when it comes to that, like here it says g is admin. So if the ESAdmin is true, like you can see the admin panel. If ESAdmin is false, you can see the other template which is under non-admin template. So this is something what we are called conditional UI, like very simple. Like you can see what is there, and like you can see the like it's there's no abstract part of it. Like you can see what logics and how things work, right? But when it comes to the generative UI, so this is some uh, code snippet from Angular code as well. So here, this basically this user card component basically generates different UI cards dynamically based on the user data. So you can see like user preferences are taking for the display width and color, background color. So based on it, the things are getting things are getting different. Basically, the UI adapts basically to the user's theme and layout preferences in this case. So this is what we are called generative UI. So when it comes to the conditional UI and generative UI can be like more like uh, more nicer, more beautiful than the conditional UI, but there can be exceptions as well. So yeah, when it comes to like tools and frameworks, which is more familiar with uh, these like for example, if you take the tools like when it comes to the conditional UI, like as I shown you before, like can use Angular, React, or any other front end technologies, and also you just need to know about the logics and the conditional rendering parts and conditional things. So and also when it comes to generative UI, apart from the front end part, like there are some libraries which is connected with AI, so TensorFlow or ML. Like us, there are some libraries as well. So which is related with the machine learning. So uh, because what's the use of is like as we need to create dynamic UI. Uh, like parts, and also we have to identify the user base preferences, so in that case we need AI libraries for that. So yeah, so that's like basically normal things. And apart from these, like when it comes to React, so if we take the conditional UI, like we can use React hooks and state management, and there are some Angular services as well. So when it comes to generative UI, if you take the libraries, there are runaway and like there are some easy use of kind of AI models. And when it comes to frameworks, like can use OpenAI GPT API, and there are some generative design tools. So these things like can use when using generative UIs, but everything is based on the application. So if your application is something very like uh, not a big application, uh, kind of application which is not interact with a large amount of data sets, so in that case like it's better like if you can go with the conditional UI. But if the application is based on like more data, so many data sets and the quantity of the data and everything, so in that scenario like it's better to have kind of a uh, uh, generative UIS concept, because the thing is like we cannot handle all the data. Like handling part is something different. Like when it comes to this conditional if else, there can be coding issues as well when it comes to using if else on that. So there are so many consequences like based on the applications, like you can choose like what are the tools, what are the frameworks you can go ahead with. So if we take something uh, basically the real world examples on taking as the generative UI. So if I take like Spotify, so in Spotify basically uh, everyone must have an idea should have Spotify. So it basically has something called like generate the personalized playlist, like basically there's something called Discover Weekly. So that interface basically shows the content which is relevant to the user, and basically adapting it's basically changing it, like they are changing it based on the taste of the user. So for example, you might have seen there's a section called For You in Spotify. So it's basically updates the music based on the user listening behavior, and also showing the album recommendations, and also creating kind of a playlist as well in real time. Actually, these things are actually happening in anyway real time. So those things are some kind of like personalized playlist. Those things are actually the dynamic UI, and same as in Netflix as well. So uh, there's something called topics for you in Netflix, as I remember. So and also continue watching. So those recommendations and everything comes as user viewing basically the habits and their preferences. So it's also same like that. So and also in the Amazon Amazon, when it comes to those basically the products, and maybe like it's not only always the like uh, the weaving habits, or maybe the buying behavior. It can be like the things you search as well, right? So based on that, they might have the basically the browsing history and past purchases, and any trends recommended for the people. So based on those ideas, like they might change in the UIs, so they can see like basically the kind of dynamic shopping recommendations on that. Same in Airbnb, so and also in LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn in sense like it's mainly based on if you think about the vacancies. So if you search a vacancy, like in the next couple of weeks, yeah, you might get some kinds of advertisements, or maybe uh, like post which is connected with the vacancies you might search before. So that this everything is like based on this generative UI. So what we can get the idea is mainly like as I said, if we have if we are focus more on the data, then it might like there's something to think about like how we should handle it. So in the handling part here is done by AI. So that's how the UI is also change adapting for that. If it's kind of a simple application, if you're like maybe building or maybe developing, so in that case you can come up with like conditional UIs as well. So conditional UIs are something based on like logics. So things that never change. So like you can like go ahead with the basically with the conditional UI when it comes to that. All right. Okay, let's move. Uh, then these things are like we know about conditional UIs and generative UIs. Then what about the future? Right. So future is basically like uh, like as you know about like AI powered interfaces. So these interfaces can be like more intelligent in future as well. So at the moment, like we are experiencing these generative basically only the UI part of it. So it can be a kind of improvement for the UX side of it as well. It's basically about user experience, and also like when it comes to the like the development part of it as well. So there might be like in future there might be scenarios like you don't need to worry about the code of it, like you can anyway generate it from maybe any website or something. And likewise, so in that case the logic and everything is basically given by basically generating by AI. So that can be anyway those things are actually some normally we can see some websites as well. There are so many like when it comes to if basically we when we check the feed on LinkedIn, like can see so many AI tools. So so these things are actually the future of it. And other thing is basically the augmented reality. Connecting with augmented reality, you can get the same experience of a certain product. So I think it's already there some in some countries. So just to get the real experience of a certain product. So yeah, so this is basically sometimes like you might think as this is the future of UI and also future of coding and future of these applications. So you might think that after that you don't need to be code, but there can be consequences on that as well. So for example, like there are eras like you have to code using binary numbers like zeros and ones. After that, you found like you can code something from words. So you might think that like it might like maybe kind of like anyway easier than using binary numbers. So after that, when it comes to this AI changes. In that case you might think that your skills might be going basically reduced because of that, but there's nothing like that. Like what you can do is basically uh, learn the basics like before moving into the when it comes to the AI. So AI is there anyway, but before that better like having the fundamental of it. After that you can straightly go with the AI, maybe the AI tool. So anything related to AI, right? So that's basically the that's some kind of like advice from my end. Like most of the times when it comes to the sessions. So yeah, so that's basically about this generative and the uh, conditional UI thing. Yeah, over to questions. You can post in the chat, or maybe you can put it in the.
So now it's time to guys raise the questions that you want to ask from our guest speaker. The floor is open. You guys can type your questions via the chat that you would like to ask.
Yeah, I think seems like no. Yeah, we have one question. Yeah, later it's appearing. Yeah, so can you use Streamline to build generative UI applications? So yeah, you can use Streamline to basically like builders, and also when it comes to Streamline, there are some like easy, when not the easy parts, actually there are some familiar parts as well. It's basically like everyone knows about Python, so basically goes with Python, and there are no like kind of uh, like no basically the front end code records. So basically there are some things like very like kind of advantages if you're using Streamlight when it comes to uh like dynamic rendering as well. And also like it basically goes as kind of a Python library. Yeah, there are basically the courses are there, and also uh, I have seen some like online courses, uh, and I'm not very familiar with the books related to that actually. So uh, I'll send you some links regarding the courses. So maybe I can send you to the organizing committee, so they might share it with you.
Can we proceed since there are no more questions?
Yeah, I think we can proceed.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Kavinda Senarathne, for your cooperation with us today. And it was so informative. And who are the enthusiasts of the field of UI applications and generative UI? I think this is the ideal session that we had throughout the series. So I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to you, and especially for sharing your expertise and invaluable contribution with us today. So I would like to invite Mr. Kavinda Senarathne to accept our token of appreciation for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for having me, and thanks for inviting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So before we conclude, actually, we would love to have a capture on our community. So it's time to take the group photo. Please turn on your cameras and join us. So let's take the group photo right now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much for you all. All right, then. So we have come to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for you all for being part of today's session. And we hope that you got found the discussion both informative and inspiring on implementing conditional UI applications and generative UI topic. So stay tuned for future events as well from our AI community. I'm your moderator today, Jani Ranchagada. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.